Hello, my name is Jeremiah Quizon,
And I'm Vanessa Roscoe.
and today we're going to talk about Louis Malle. Uh, so, who is Louis Malle? He was a French film director, screenwriter, and producer. He was born in October 30, 1932, and lived on till November 23, 1995. He was most active in 1953 through 1994, and he was nominated the Academy Award for Best Documentary in 1956, and he was one of the very few directors who have won the Golden Lion multiple times. How many movies and films did he make? Which were their most significant and why? In in Louis Malle's entire career, he made a total of 19 films slash movies. His most famous works were A Censure pour l'Échafaud, uh, that was made in 1958, along with La Combe Lucien, Atlantic City, My Dinner with Andre, and Au revoir les enfants. And A Censure pour l'Échafaud introduced new narrative and editing techniques during its time. So that movie was very inspiring in terms of narratives. And the Lacombe Lucien movie was based off of his life experience during World War II in Germany. And Atlantic City was nominated in the Big Five Academy Award. And My Dinner with Andre, which will be discussed later on, covered various topics such as experimental theater and the nature of life, while contrasting Jean's modest, down-to-earth humanism. And Au revoir les enfants won the Golden Lion at the Venice Film Festival. His work was regarded and was nominated numerous times for Academy Awards in his career. As said before, he was one of the few people who won the Golden Lion multiple times. He is known more to be a traditionalist, and his movies are based on controversial subject matters. An example is his movie called Damage, where he shows how sex is purely used for satisfaction and gratification, and the destruction it has if there is nothing behind bonding physically. And this problem is starting to become more apparent in society as a whole, with a bunch of crimes such as rape and all of that. And he seems to be able to portray problems and act them out in movies, which show his traditionalist side.
Malle had a way of directing that took dark concepts and flawed characters, but made them human enough for the audience to relate to and sympathize with the situation, no matter how dramatic. One review published in the New York Times in 1958 of Pretty Baby claims Mr. Malle had some controversial films in his time, but none, I suspect, that is likely to upset convention quite as much as this one. Though the setting is a whorehouse, Pretty Baby is neither about child prostitution nor is it pornographic. Pretty Baby is the most imaginative, most intelligent, most original film of the year to date. Malle's work was shocking for the time period, but refreshing at the same time. What was their impact during their time and on today's movies and cultures? Overall, his movies show how our society would be like in the present. Just like in the movie Damage, nowadays people become more lustful in our society, which cause things such as rape and desires that are physically demanding rather than something more. His movies were usually based on how he lived in World War II and was able to portray the roughness of living through it. My Dinner with Andre has had much influence in our society, as shows such as The Simpsons, where there was an arcade game based on the movie. He was established as a key influencer to the new wave or modern cinema from his first film release, Elevator to the Gallows. Malle's first film was considered groundbreaking, establishing new concepts using music and film as well as unique use of camera shots for character development, like we see with Florence throughout the film. What meaning do you attribute to their popular appeal? What was it about them or their work that appealed to American audiences? Louis Malle had a way of intriguing or shocking audiences in some way. He would often take extremely controversial topics and relay them frankly, whether it be murder, prostitution, suicide, etc. But at the same time, he would establish deep characters with human flaws that the audience could observe and relate to. Malle's work had continuous layering of dark and light. He would often present an audience with one action that would have the equal and opposite result. He used the concept there are only two sides to every coin, with each of his characters, juxtaposing wants or actions of desire with harsh reality. I believe a good portion of his popularity stemmed from his ability to channel human emotions by taking evidence from his own life and experience.
And this is the movie. This is a scene from the movie My Dinner with Andre. In this scene, Wally Shawn is having a conversation with Gregory about reality. This clip is best representative for his work because the conversation they have with each other is very far ahead of what we know, and it is even hard to understand what they are saying sometimes since this is taken way back in the 80s. This movie has had much influence in our time today as well, and was well parodied in shows such as My Breakfast with Blassie and Family Guy. The conversation they have here can have an impact and has a lot of life values not really talked about. And from the scene, I learned that life can be defined by what you do, whether it's for simple pleasures or working in theater. This movie showed me that there is a choice in how you want to make life.
In Pretty Baby, the film in general was extremely shocking for US audiences. It follows the life of a 12-year-old prostitute at turn of the century New Orleans. It was released in 1978 and stirred up controversy because of the explicit nudity of 12-year-old Brooke Shields. In this clip, 12-year-old Violet is being whipped for trying to seduce one of the black stable boys, which her future lover, Papa, witnesses. Because of this, Violet runs away from the whorehouse and goes to live with Papa, and they become lovers. Eventually, Violet runs away from Papa back to the whorehouse, where he treats her like a child. This clip has many relatable aspects and represents Malle's work as a whole. Malle has a way of taking extremely intense subjects but adding a deeper meaning, like the struggle of happiness in life and love. Malle has a tendency to take harsh realities, like child prostitution in the 20th century, and creates more than a retelling of history, but of the passion and human struggle behind that time period. Malle had a way of taking typical movie dilemmas, i.e. murder and love, but telling them in a twisted, ironic, yet personal way that attracted audiences. Watching Malle's films definitely gave me a newfound appreciation for old films. I always figured old movies had mundane plots and poor cinematography compared to today, but Malle's films have much more character range and brilliance, presented in a more clever way than modern film. Today we have movies like The Hunger Games, where star-crossed lovers have their emotion and fate explicitly laid out. But during Malle's time, there was Elevator to the Gallows, where the butterfly effect meets Romeo and Juliet to tell an ironic story of the beauty and depth of love.
And so this concludes the life of Louis Malle. Again, my name is Jeremiah Kuzan.
And I'm Vanessa Orozco.
And thank you for listening to our presentation.